or sound, feel free to go ahead and post those in the chat box or the question box below. We'll make sure to make any changes as needed so everyone can hear us properly. So that's one of the things that we really appreciate from the audience. Okay, so once again, you should be able to go ahead and see my screen here. And before we get started with talking about some of the trends that we're noticing in the research industry, I just wanted to give you a quick quick overview of what we're going to cover here. So we're going to tell you a little bit about, survey analytics, and also a little bit about Ivana Taylor. And we'll talk about some of the top trends that we're noticing, especially for 2011, how you can take advantage of them, either whether you are a consultant or a large firm, or or just a mom and pop shop. And we'll also show you how you can use some of the tools that we have available on Survey Analytics to uh, you know to take advantage of some of these upcoming trends. So just a little bit about us. Survey Analytics, we did start back in 2002. We're in Seattle. We're one of the fastest growing private companies in the United States, and we do have, well over 6,000 clients, and we're growing quite rapidly this year. Besides Survey Analytics, we do have our Question Pro tool, Idea Scale, which is our crowdsourcing tool, and also a micropoll, which is essentially a micropoll. Again, my name is Esther Lavielle. I'm the Chief Education Director over at Survey Analytics. And I want to go ahead and also introduce to you Ivana Taylor, who is the president of Third Force Marketing, and she's also the publisher of a DIYmarketers.com. She's also written a DIY marketing book, and also she's an expert in this particular arena for small business trends. And she's a frequent contributor to the Amex Open Forum, and she's also our blog editor for both Question Pro and Survey Analytics. So, to get started, we wanted to pose to the audience a very interesting question that I'm sure a lot of people have been talking about, and also bringing Ivana in. And it's going to be a different kind of webinar. It's going to be a lot of back and forth between us. And feel free if you guys have questions and would like to pose some interesting thoughts. We're very open to that. So we want to ask everyone, will paper surveys be dead soon? So we've got a couple of things that have been very popular in the past. And so we want to pose those out to you. And Ivana, if you want to kind of, jump in here as well, that would be great.
Absolutely. One of the things that you did not mention in my intro that I think our audience needs to know, and I never wrote down really, is that I think that I was I was an early client of Question Pros, early customer, early user of the software. And so I was really excited to find a resource like that so that I could do online surveys. And I bring this up because at the time, a lot of my clients, and like I said, I am a marketing consultant, do quite a bit of customer kinds of research, doing feedback and customer satisfaction. And a lot of my clients at the time were companies that wanted this type of thing, but they were still using paper surveys. And when I had discovered this resource, I was really, really excited. And so as Esther and I were talking about the different trends that were going on, one of the things that we said was, wow, will paper surveys be dead in terms of paper? And we came up with a couple examples of things that where the function was still there, we still needed the function, however, the way it worked had changed. So we talked about the buggy whip all the time, where people thought they were in the buggy whip industry and they actually were in the transportation industry. I don't think, though, unfortunately, that Henry Ford was ever in the buggy business, but there you have it. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that we talked about was this idea of the typewriter. I don't know if anybody knew exactly why our QWERTY keyboard is exactly the way it is. I learned this a little while ago, and I thought it was really interesting. It got me thinking differently about how we hang on to some things and then other things change. So the reason that the QWERTY keyboard is the way it is because a traditional typewriter, the very original one, had these little hammers. You would click on the key, and a hammer would lift up, if you could see I'm waving my hand, would lift up and hit the typewriter ribbon, making an impression on the paper of the letter. And when they had originally designed the typewriter A, B, C, D, E, F, G, what was happening is when we would put the English words together, these hammers would bunch up together and get stuck, and you couldn't type. So they came up with this way of arranging the keys in such a way so that these physical hammers would not get entangled. And so what do we know about how we work with keyboards today? Well, there are no hammers. It's all on a computer, and yet we still use a QWERTY keyboard, which I think is kind of funny. Like, will we ever change that? And so, of course, as we were having that conversation, that went, well, are phone surveys and paper surveys next? I don't know. Do we have, I don't know, Esther, did you want to add on to that comment, this idea of things changing, and yet the function still being there? We still want feedback. It's a question of how we're going to get it back, how we're going to collect it.
Yes, I agree with that. So, I mean, it's a very interesting question to pose to the audience. One part of me, because I was also from the research industry as well, and I did use a lot of phone surveys, and I also killed many trees writing paper surveys for a lot of our clients. And, there's always going to be that need there, but I do see that a lot of it's going to be greatly reduced. Part of the reason why is because of the technology that you have available. Instead of using humans to decide and follow instructions, if they answer A, they need to skip answer, number 2 and 3 and jump to question 4. Those are automated at this time. And I've worked with recruiters over the phone who needed to do focus groups or needed to collect surveys. And people that are not able to decipher, or you're stuck with having to clean up, and a lot of human error. So taking that into place, and also the overhead of hiring someone at just a little bit above minimum wage is quite pricey. So I do see that there is going to be a shift. However, with certain particular industries, it won't always apply, but I do see that happening pretty soon. So that's kind of, but a lot of it still remains to be seen. But based off of my experience, I have seen that there is a great significant shift towards online surveys as being sort of the norm these days. So let's go ahead and continue. So we're going to go ahead and talk about our first trend here, which is tracking social media chatter. So go ahead and pass that over to Ivana.
Okay. Well, this is a really exciting trend. In fact, as I was doing research for another article, did you see that link I sent over to you, Esther, about how they're using Facebook is actually analyzing people's posts and measuring how a happiness index. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was very interesting.
It's crazy. It was really interesting, and so it shows you. I couldn't even have to share a link about that, but there's actually a page out on Facebook, and they explain how they used they coded words, so they had identified words that had either positive or negative connotation, and then they were able to come up with this index. And these things that we have up on the slide here with Facebook getting more weekly traffic, so one of the things we know as researchers is that, hey, there's going to be, and there's a good mix of people. I mean, the fastest growing segment on Facebook, and this has been repeated like all year long, has been women over 55. You can't really make the assumption that it's just kids anymore. And analyzing the social media chatter is actually a lot more affordable than you might think, and Esther is going to cover some of that. It's real-time feedback. It's authentic feedback. In a way, it has the flavor of a focus group without all the structure. And so I would say it really, really does present some unique opportunities for businesses, not only to market their products and communicate out, but to also collect communication in. And so whereas when we've been talking about social media chatter and tracking that, I mean, I remember, I think last year or maybe the year before, this was still being sorted. I don't want to say manually, but it was still a very, I would say, time-intensive, human-intensive project. People were searching on words and this kind of thing, and now you see that often with a trend. It kind of starts trickling in, but then it gets repeated time after time as people make improvements and technology is developed to help us use this trend, so to speak, help us use what's going on in the industry. So you can go on to the next one.
Okay. Yeah, and I also wanted to kind of bring this up also. I was online doing a little bit of research. Forrester Research did name and said that, doing text analysis and text analytics technologies is actually going to be one of the top 15 trends to watch in the next 3 years. Basically, what text analytic technologies will allow you to do, I kind of highlighted below it. It'll allow you to mine, interpret, and structure, pretty much unstructured data. So you're talking about revealing the voice of the customer, being able to do competitive intelligence, being able to look at different, operations and improvements, from both not only from within your company but also outside, and this basically directs, will allow you to direct and see, what are people really saying about you? And so being able to use a text analytics tool to be able to do a quick search can really give you a lot of guidance. These days you can read a bunch of open-ended text reports, and you can try to find some patterns, but it's not easy if you're looking at hundreds of thousands uh, of feedback. And in this way, a lot of the tools that you can see now actually will allow you to group these, bucket them out, and so this is something very new. And not only can you do it from within your company when people are asking for feedback within your company through your employees, you can also just do a quick listen through your Twitter and Facebook pages. And these days, even with the tools, you can also be able to compare what are people saying on Facebook and Twitter, or what are they complaining to you at your complaints department, and how does that compare to the surveys that you are running each quarter. So this is something really exciting. I do have the link on the bottom, and we'll share these slides to all the audience later and everyone who's registered, so you can read a little bit more about this particular trend that's happening. Um, so our second trend, is going to kind of build on top of what I just talked about. The use for open-ended text analysis to run reports. Again, it allows you to find out what people are saying from all the sources, and again, it allows you to do, very easy, competitive intelligence. So if you're wanting to know what people are saying about if it's Google versus Bing. What are people saying about Bing versus the Google search? Instead of putting together a focus group and gathering feedback, you can just do a quick search somewhere through some blogs or through a Twitter feed or through Facebook, and find out what people are truly saying. And it's very interesting because these are public forums. You can run these things without any issues. One of the people that we wanted to, or one of the companies that do have these kind of tools is called Discover Text, and I just wanted to kind of put that out there. So this is one piece that you guys can definitely use and add on to your current research repertoire. So again,
And
oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask a clarifying question
Sure.
because I think you had mentioned this earlier, and I just wanted to understand. So with these Discover Text tools, you can, it's clear to me that we can use the social media chatter, that you can run searches and download that information and then upload it into this Discover Text.
Mm-hmm.
But did you also say that you can use this tool for open-ended responses, or that are longer?
Yes, definitely. So, we're talking not just, your surveys, but also if you guys are still running email campaigns, or if you guys are interested in just gathering feedback through just different ways. So it doesn't even have to be in a particular live stream feed of Twitter or Facebook. It can be in a standard report, and we can show you all the different options that you can do it. So you're not limited to just one different option. You can actually compare and combine them even. So there's a really great opportunity to take advantage of this and add this. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, great. So this is just some of the things that you can do, and and this will again will be on the slides. With any kind of open-ended text analysis, if you're already doing that, the standard is always to be able to, identify, categorize high-frequency words, also be able to do, review some recurring phrases, associations of words. And I just kind of put this out there as some of the options that you can do. Currently, right now, in a research firm, you do have a coding department that does a lot of this. And the clients and the researchers get together, and we, in the past, I've sat there and they've told me, if they answer these set of questions this way, and they say this in their open-ended text, then we need to code them as A. And then if they say this, they're B. And if they say this, they're C and D. And you would have an actual department of people who would code this and put it to the side. And yeah, and surprisingly, you would do that with not only, phone surveys. We did it with mailers and all sorts of different things. So it's very interesting how in the past that's how you used to do this. But now, instead of depending on a coding department to do this, a lot of this you'll be able to do it on your own. You'll be able to control your data and then also be able to reveal a lot of the actionable data a lot quicker because it takes a long time to code. But in this case, this is going to cut down on a lot of those things. So anything you wanted to add here, Ivana, or you'd like to move on?
Not a thing.
Okay, great. So yeah, I wanted to show you on Survey Analytics, we do have a text chart. This is our categorization chart that we have. And basically it allows you as a person to be able to review all of the open-ended texts, and you get to manually set up the categories, and then you can basically jump in and select, what person is what. So in this case here, I've got one who's a neutral client, satisfied and dissatisfied. And so you can select these and control what you want. A lot of people say, well, I've got over 200,000 responses. That's fine. A lot of times, in the industry, you don't always code every single one. But, and so but if you want to, you can. It's a lot of work. But if you don't need to, you only need to, code 10% of it and use that as part of a report, you can do that. So it's very easy to do, and you'll be able to generate a chart and a report that you can use for your presentation or your report. Other things you can also do is you can run what's called a tag cloud, in which you can look at high frequency words. Obviously, the larger the word is, the more frequent it shows up. And obviously, the smaller the word, it's not as important. So, it's very interesting. You can compare it to a regular open-ended report, which just kind of throws all the open-ended text all on one page, and you can see, what are the words that people are really using the most, and what can you gather from that. So you can do your analysis on that as well. Also, I wanted to give you a little bit of insight on a text analysis tool. We're actually partnered with Discover Text, and what they can do with the tool is you can help, they'll help you index, search, filter, and classify, large amount of text. So, from the marketing research industry, from, e-discovery and extraction of key insights, you can look at, social media research, and also do huge cross-organizational work group data analysis. And we'll show you the different pockets that you can really analyze by using this type of tool. And so basically, like I said earlier, not only can you review what people are saying to you on the web, you can also upload different kind of files. It could be just a simple Word doc or a CSV or Excel, anything that you want to upload into the tool. You can also put email into there and unify your data. So if you want to know, say for instance, a little bit more about what people perceive about your brand, you can pull all sorts of different things, from whether it's a survey, whether it's what they're saying on a Twitter feed, or what people are mentioning about you versus some of the emails that you've been getting from existing clients, and then find out what they can do. And so we have it where we're integrated with them. You just have to log in and pull out an XML report. You can even do a CSV if you'd like, just a quick screenshot. And all you have to do is go to Discover Text to get started. And you can see that, it's not just Survey Analytics that can do an export. You can do an Excel, CSV, Twitter, Google Reader. You can do also zip archive. And so that would include any, text from Microsoft Office or anything really. So this is a great tool to consider. And then what you would see through this, in a nutshell, is you'll be able to browse and search to create different buckets of the work that you see. So after you've uploaded your information into the system over at Discover Text, you can do a quick one word search. If someone is talking about work, you can pull up all of the answers that have the word work in there. And based off of that word, you can review their answers and see. And then from this list, you can even further drill down. And these are tools that you can use to highlight certain words that you're interested in. Also, make notes on particular words or particular comments that you think are really interesting. So we make this, they make it really easy to use, and it's actually very exciting. I believe, anyone that wants to go in and try it out for free for 30 days, you definitely can do that. So this is just really easy to do. And basically, after you upload it into the system, then you can just keep creating more of the segments, more of the buckets, and then just keep doing some searches about what you'd like to see. And I'm sure you can gather some interesting reports from those. Here's just another example if you want to pull something from a live feed as well. So this is just an example of a Facebook pool. So if you are interested in running a Facebook search and typing in some information about Farmville, anything about Farmville will show up. And so you can run a quick search and find out a little bit more about what people are saying about Farmville. And so you can see, this is just one of the reports that you would get. You can get a tag cloud from some keywords that are coming up when they're doing or once they're on, once they're on the Facebook Farmville page. So you can see a lot of these different words. So it's very interesting. With their tool, they also tell you how many times a certain word shows up too, so you can scroll over them. So if you're scrolling over Farmville, you'll see that it shows up 11 times, and so on and so forth. So it's very interesting stuff. These words were coming off of a survey, but you can also pull it from any kind of Twitter feed as well. And this is just an example of the chart that you can see after you set up all your codes again, or your segments or buckets, or whatever you want to call those. And you can particularly see what kind of codes. You can also break down, and verify, what is useful, what is not useful. And pretty much the whole point and the reason why Discover Text even got into this business in the first place was because they were noticing with some of the coders, some of them tended to code a certain way and some of them tended to code another way. And that becomes a problem. There's human error. And so what happened is that they wanted to create a software that can adjudicate that and be able to make sure that everything is the same, concrete on the same side. And so with that tool, they've created basically a coding tool, and now from the coding tool, they built it out where they can pull not just from, just a regular survey, but also from, mailing lists, emails, all sorts of different things. So it's very interesting, and you can use this as part of your presentation as well. So we're on to our third major trend, which is crowdsourcing, and I'll go ahead and pass that back to Ivana.
Oh, thank you. Well, you guys have been on this crowdsourcing. I remember having this discussion with you guys. Oh my gosh, it seems like years ago. I think I've listed it as a trend starting out, oh, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, and and I don't think people really understood the idea of crowdsourcing. Until maybe that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show came out, because that's where they had an option that said you could ask the audience. So the idea was that if you had a question, you could ask the audience, and the wisdom of the crowd would probably take you in the right direction. And with technology, and this of course used to be ridiculously difficult until programs like IdeaScale showed up. Now, the interesting thing with crowdsourcing is that it isn't, at least from a marketing perspective, you can look at it. Actually, crowdsourcing is a great way to maybe do some upfront work before you do a conjoint analysis study, just to start to understand what people are thinking, what's important to your audience or to your customers, and to get that conversation going. And that's what I like about the crowdsourcing tools. Another benefit the crowdsourcing tools offer is that it's actually, if you can imagine, a PR function, because what it does is it engages your audience. So when you're doing a crowdsourcing project and your audience is involved, they contribute ideas. And as they contribute ideas, they're actually registered. They have the option of registering onto the site and getting feedback or updates to their idea. And so not only that, it allows the owner of the account to feed back to the audience about what's going on. And the IdeaScale program works really well. Survey Analytics has one. They have one on the Question Pro site as well. And what's really terrific is that you can see, you can vote ideas up or vote ideas down, and then the technical people participate and they explain, we're still working on this. So you don't have this feeling that a lot of respondents have when we do surveys. If you're doing a survey, even an online survey, I have clients that do online surveys, and people give recommendations, and it feels like the recommendation goes into a black hole. This is where the crowdsourcing process really, really shines, because your audience really feels engaged. They feel heard and listened to, and ultimately, when that happens, when we have customer engagement, then your customer satisfaction scores go up. So isn't it funny that you can use a tool, a crowdsourcing tool, to not only get valuable priceless information, but you can actually use it to increase your overall satisfaction score. How fun is that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I remember, with just kind of going over things with Rob. I mean, one of the founders of IdeaScale told me that, this came out as a tool mainly for qualitative purposes, to be able to give people a chance to analyze and further interact with people without having to put together the focus group or anything. You still can set up, being a moderator and everything as well. And it's a very interesting tool. I did forget to mention also that IdeaScale is integrated with Discover Text. So they put a bunch of questions and or suggestions, you can actually filter that suggestions through the Discover Text and analyze it through there too. So that's even further powerful. So very, very cool, very, very interesting thing. I did want to share with you guys also that, with crowdsourcing, this is one of the greatest, I guess one of the greatest, I would say, quotes that I've gotten here from the MIT professor, Professor Eric von Hippel. He says, this is really the biggest paradigm shift in innovation since the Industrial Revolution. So that kind of feeds on what Ivana has said, that with crowdsourcing, there's really a huge great opportunity to really be able to gather feedback and interaction and create more satisfaction amongst either your clients or customers. So So just think about that one. So,
Oh, absolutely. It's exciting.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So,
so I'll just jump into number 4 here, which is to use quick engagement polls. This is a feature that Survey Analytics has had for a long time, and there's also, a variety of other polling tools out there. What's really terrific about quick engagement polls, and the trend that's really driving this, there's actually an Uber trend or a macro trend that's driving this, and it really has, and you'll see it repeated over and over in the things that we're talking about, and that is the use of time. Um, anyone who's got, as a matter of fact, there's a big commercial going on right now with people and their mobile phones and how they're just tied to their mobile phones. We use time differently, and we're multitasking all the time, and it's really hard to keep people's attention. And this is where micro polls really, really shine, and these quick engagement polls, because it gives you the opportunity to ask your survey questions one at a time. And that way it doesn't take a lot of time for your respondents. You can run the survey over time and collect the feedback, and it doesn't really fatigue your audience. So quick engagement polls are really, really terrific. Esther, did you want to add to that?
no, actually,
Oh,
no, that's
okay.
fine. Yeah, it looks like you've got pretty much covered everything here. But yeah, here's an example of a poll that we put together here. Is Welsh Corgis a good city dog? And I only put that because corgis are my favorite. But this is something really quick that you can put together on MicroPoll. You can go to MicroPoll. It's completely free, actually, and it's basically they'll be able to, select an answer, and then they can see what everyone has said so far. So very easy to use. To embed it, you can pretty much embed it anywhere you like. So, you've got your options. You can put it in your website, or you can post it all over the place, even in WordPress or anywhere you want. So, it's a lot of different options for you to share and get some quick feedback. I think a lot of people are seeing micropolls more often, and because it's simple, and they get an answer from it really quickly, a lot of people are more apt to want to be engaged with a micropoll. So one of those things here, and I think this is yours, Ivana, right? You had put this
This
in
is
there.
mine, yeah.
Okay, and so
That's actually, and I just wanted to show people, I actually run a WordPress blog. The DIYmarketers.com is a WordPress blog, and you can see I've done nothing to this. I just basically went on to MicroPoll, developed a question, and used the embed code and stuck it in as a text widget, and there you can see what it looks like. And of course, if you have any HTML savvy, you can do so much more than that. But I honestly have none. So this is what mine looks like. And the other, you can use it to ask serious questions, but something else that when you showed that corgi example, the other really fun thing that you can do and use quick engagement polls for as a researcher is to kind of lighten it up a little bit and ask those fun questions. And that will kind of profile your audience a little bit. And you can use that information in your marketing materials or on your blog and have conversations around it. That is such a big, this move towards authenticity and just people lightening up a little bit. A micropoll can really go a long way towards helping you learn a little bit about your audience in a fun way and get quick answers to things.
okay. So our fifth trend we really wanted to talk, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into this here, which is a posing question. Is it time to go mobile? Online, offline, mobile research trends that we're seeing. I kind of took this slide off another slide, so I apologize if the quality isn't there, but I wanted to really highlight some of the things that we're seeing here. So, obviously with the trends that we're noticing in the future, is that more people are going to be getting smartphones and buying smartphones and upgrading smartphones a lot more frequently than a PC. We've already seen in the online, a bunch of reports saying that more people are going to be surfing the web on their phones in the future than on their PC. And so with that, a lot of people are saying, is it time to go mobile with your research? So here's just a couple things that you can see that, Japan social networking trends show how quickly mobile can overtake desktop internet access. And this is just from simply, just a couple years, in fact, and see how large the spike is towards the end. I mean, that's really interesting stuff to take note of. And then also we're looking at the shipment between here between the shipment of a smartphone versus a PC shipment within the last 2 years. So this does imply very rapid opportunity, especially with the evolution of internet access. So also, it's great to see, also in developing countries. I did go back to Vietnam, where my family is from, and you can see over there that everyone's got a cell phone or some sort of smartphone. Even my cousins have a BlackBerry, and they work in the fields as they work in the farms as people that chop rice for a living, and they literally have a cell phone out there, and they're using it for all sorts of things. So they're taking pictures, they're texting their friends, they're calling, they're listening to the radio, they're doing all sorts of different things, but they don't have a computer to save their life. So I could definitely see this as being a huge opportunity, especially if you're interested in trying to get some information from those kinds of people, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. So this is just one of the things that we're noticing. One of the advantages that of doing some mobile research is that you can track a unique device ID. You can also do location, GPS. In the future, it is going to matter, where are these people taking their surveys? I mean, and it doesn't have to be, too close, but if you can say there's a bunch of people from Seattle that are taking the survey, way more people in the West Coast versus the East Coast taking a survey, and also form factor is going to be major. So we're talking about multimedia, images, interactivity within a mobile device is really important. And then they're going to have some more animation that with, especially with the apps that we have now. Sliders and animation is going to be more important to engage the people that want to take your surveys. So that's some of the advantages that we're seeing. And with us, we do have a bunch of tools that are out there and available. We had recently launched Survey Pocket, which is an offline iPad application. We do have people that are using the tool to go out to remote areas that don't have internet access, or even on the street to do field surveys instead of having a pen and paper and asking people for information. They're simply talking to people and asking them, what is your opinion? And then you can code them within the field. And then once you get into an area with internet access, it will automatically upload to a report. So you can review that and see if you've ever done any field studies before. I used to do a couple where we would literally stand outside of a movie theater, and after someone's done taking uh, watching a movie, we would pull them to the side and be like, "Hey, can you rate this movie for me?" And so we would give them a pen and a paper, or a pencil and paper, and have them circle a bunch of questions for us. And instead of doing that, this is a lot easier. You can just give them the pad and say, "Can you fill this out for me really quickly?" And that's it. So that's a different way that you can apply field surveys. And then also, we do have below here, which is Survey Swipe. It's another tool. So we're encouraging people to think about building your own online mobile community, interact with them, and build and run a built-in incentive program. A lot of times, with the current panels right now that are doing a lot of online surveys and selling data and stuff like that, is that it's hard for respondents to see the incentives for taking surveys. But with Survey Swipe, we have a quick turnaround when it comes to incentives. And so with more incentives, you'll be able to interact with them stay in touch and also be able to uh, engage your audience a little bit more. So these are just a little bit, just a quick preview of some of the things that you can see and everything. And if anybody has questions, how can I apply this, or what can I do to make this happen? Feel free to contact us. We, I and myself, as well as other people, we're from the research industry. We've seen, how field surveys are conducted. We've also seen how online surveys and also paper surveys are different, and we can show you how you can apply mobile research to your current research repertoire. So that's one of the things that we're very interested in being a pioneer on. And so let's see here. Did you want to add anything to that also, Ivana, or any questions you had?
I think that the question I have that I'm wondering if other people have too, you say on here with the survey swipe, build your own online mobile community. Are you saying that I can, like when we did this, when we did the State of the Union experiment yesterday, are you saying, like, how you can create your own URL, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then are you saying, like, I could invite my customers or invite a community and say, hey, would you be part of my panel, basically?
Yes.
And you're saying, can we do that? Is
Yes.
that what you're talking about?
Yes, definitely.
Very cool.
Yeah, so instead of having to, always interact with them, in different ways, you can be like, and obviously it's only at an opt-in point. So if people are not comfortable, they don't want to be a part of it, then they're not going to sign up for this. But if they want to and be incentivized and stay interacted, then yes, you can build your own, panel. You can manage your own. In a way, it's like your own little mini database, but we call it a community
I
instead.
love that.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. It's something, I would say a lot of people are still, it's a new concept. No one hasn't seen, not a lot of people have seen how this works yet. So we're going to have some case studies, and I'll bring in, people that are interested in sharing their experience with Survey Swipe. And Ivana did mention just briefly that, yesterday we did do a partnership project with also with UMass Amherst and also the White House on a State of the Union address survey. So anyone who downloaded the survey swipe got a prompt to take a survey, and if they were watching the State of the Union address, they had some questions, and they can take a survey while they're watching, Obama do his speech. So, whether or not you felt he spent too much time talking about the economy or not, you could have told him. And right now, we're looking at the analytics side. So all the data has been gathered. We've already been looking at the data from yesterday. So if you guys are on our blog, you can see the results here. Probably within a day or two, because we're doing some analysis with Discover Text on it as well. But it is very, very cool. So we're very interested to be able to show people how quickly you can gather. And like a lot of my friends and I, while we're watching TV, every once in a while we're surfing our phones for fun. Might as well do a survey while you're there, and get a free application, or get some gift certificates from Amazon while you're at it.
Excellent. I love that.
Yeah, so
I guess I'll jump into number 6 here, which is searching public data sets. I can't believe I had this conversation with my son yesterday. I have a 10-year-old son, and we were talking about the difference between primary and secondary data sources, and how you get primary data and how you get secondary data. And what's really exciting is that, at least my perspective, and Esther, you can kind of, you've been in research probably more than I have, which is, there were so many times where I was forced to go into primary research because I could not find enough secondary data to give me the answers that I was looking for. And now now you look online, and just there are public data sources that you can use. Google has them. I'm giving you one example here, which is Facebook. You can actually go on Facebook and click on the advertising link. Just click on this link, and it will take you through the process as if you were going to place an ad. But what's really terrific is that you can actually see how many people are in a particular location or by education level or, age, likes and dislikes, you can have, if you are, let's say you are a pizza shop and you want to think about, launching a new kind of pizza or a sandwich or whatever, or maybe you're thinking about doing a local promotion with a local university, or you're wondering what you should do for the Super Bowl, you could actually go into Facebook and get a pretty decent idea of how big that market is. And the same is true for Google, and there are a variety of other data sets. I don't know if we have another slide on that, but there are a variety of public data sets. Yeah, there's the Google one that you can use that will give you a lot more information, or at least help you focus your search in some other, focus your search so that when you do go out to gather primary data, you're really just focusing on the information that's not out there. So did you want to add more to that, Esther?
Oh no, I think you pretty much, I think you've
No?
covered that, so I think we're good.
Okay. And so then finally, I can imagine, and I think I've seen comments about it in the past, that a lot of market research or professional research organizations, I'm going to use the phrase, feel threatened by the whole DIY marketing process. I can tell you I have been asked, I've been interviewed by like Advertising Age and some other organizations about DIY marketing in general and if it's a threat to ad agencies. And I said to them the very same thing that I would say to professional researchers. There are tremendous opportunities out there for people who actually know what they're doing. Because and that's the critique that a lot of professional firms have, is that they'll say, well, you're putting these tools in the hands of people who don't know what they're doing. Well, that's the opportunity then for professional researchers in this case to help. You actually get to let go of the mundane, to let go of the programming, to let go of these things that are easily automated, and you can actually move forward and focus on exactly the expertise that you have. And I guess this slide shows your basic garbage in, garbage out, but a professional research firm can guide the layperson into really getting like these good gold nuggets out of their data. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities, and that's something that maybe we can have as a discussion after the presentation if anyone has questions around that.
Yes, that's good. Yeah, and I totally agree with that as well. Like I've been told by many researchers and also from firms, going from conferences and also being in a bunch of LinkedIn groups. What are their thoughts about this trend or what people are saying about mobile research or online tools? What are they saying? And a lot of them are saying, well, a lot of these people don't know how to use or how to do analysis, so a lot of their data is crap. And it's true. If the person doesn't know how to do it, then yeah, it is crap. And so there is an opportunity to be a person that knows a bunch of different tools that are partnered up with a bunch of different tools and knows how to apply them applicably to be able to consult with these companies how to train them and also be able how to use them. And I do know that we do have partners that know our tool inside and out and do apply it and are very successful with their clients and save them a lot of money versus having to even outsource a lot of their research projects. And I've even seen with the consultants and clients, if they've got a large client that really likes what they're doing, the client will actually help pay for their license, or they would pay the license for them. And it's very interesting, and they just really love the data that they're getting from it. So again, there's a great opportunity and still a lot of money to be made. You just have to apply it a little bit differently. So instead of and be able to do a good mix of technology and traditional research, I think is very necessary.
Absolutely. It is funny. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I think that, the anxiety, I guess, that we sometimes feel can, because of the different kinds of tools, it can be overwhelming. So it really helps knowing that there are professionals out there that can help you make sense of everything. And the core research principles are still the same, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I totally agree with that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and so I would say, you're gonna look at these four things here. It's gonna open up great opportunities, and there's still gonna be a need for traditional research, especially for some very difficult, low incidence studies. So, being able to apply some, efficient technology tools to very difficult projects, can mean higher revenue for you, and also higher profit margins, as well as um, being able to continually build on current business relationships, and you'll be able to get new customers that way because they know, because it is overwhelming when clients come to us and ask us for a tool. A lot of times they're not really 100% sure how they're going to apply it. So, being able to consult with someone who can and know how to do this, or being a person from a large company and learning all these different tools and finding out will will give you a great opportunity, to expand it, from within your company and become the expert. So I think it is a very, very great opportunity that's still out there, that a lot of people haven't really jumped on board yet. But for those who are doing it, are doing very successfully.
And might I just jump in there and say, one of the great things that the Survey Analytics and Question Pro organization has is a really fantastic community. I mean, Survey Analytics has so many wonderful partners and so many experts. And as the blog editor for both, I can tell you that we have access to all different kinds of experts. So please, if you visit the blogs and leave questions and comments or ideas, and we are happy to jump in and look into getting answers to those and starting that discussion.
So yeah, we wanted to, again, this is pretty much the end of our presentation here. If anybody has any particular questions, we definitely would love to hear from you now. Or if you'd like to email us separately, we're more than happy to be able to answer any questions that you have. If you want to pose any questions in this particular forum, go ahead and post those either in the chat or the question panel, and we'll be able to share that. So I'll go ahead and open that up for discussion as well. So we'll just wait, I guess, for a little bit if there are going to be any questions. And so we can see.
Yeah, I was really excited when I saw that Facebook thing. That just struck me as so appropriate, because I guess I have to admit that I spend a lot of time talking about analyzing text. Oh God, and Lord knows I do so many, I code so many open-ended responses. I have a client that has a customer base that when you ask them a simple question and you leave it open-ended, I swear to God, Esther, I get like 500-word essays.
Yeah, that's true.
And
So, and then how do you code it? It takes a
it
long
is a
time.
real bear. You have thousands of responses, and then you've got so many of them, and they say, well, and they're concerned about, like, you ask the question, and there are like 5 different points within each answer.
Mm-hmm.
Coding is a real bear.
Yeah, it is. It is a real bear, and but being able to do it on your own and being able to control it, and being able to get your results in real time because you're doing it on your own, a lot quicker, it's actually going to be really helpful, I think. So, although coding does take a long time, but the idea of outsourcing it and waiting for it to come back is even longer. So, so
Well, and I have clients, and I always recommend this, is, when I do my projects and I code the responses, I like to give them charts and things, so that you can see sort of a sense of, I guess, proportion. But at the same time, all the real power is in the actual responses. So there is a benefit to doing it yourself and reading those responses and taking the time to read maybe each and every one. I mean, especially if you're dealing with feedback from customers.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if it's a very important point, I mean, sometimes you never know. I mean, especially with the idea of crowdsourcing, with the idea of doing a lot more open-ended text, because these days you've got tools that can bring you, structure to unstructured data. You know, it's really, it's a great opportunity that even, in the past with coding, you would miss because you got deadlines, you got different things you got to come up with. So, it's very interesting to think about. It looks
I
like
guess.
we do have a question.
Oh, great.
Well, actually, okay, so I have a question from Sarah. She said, "Thank you. This presentation was chock full of great information. Will a transcript will be available along with the slides?" Yes, they will be. We'll have them posted on our blog. Actually, oops, I must have logged out here somewhere. And also, you should be able to get a copy. I'll send a copy to everybody that was a part of this presentation as well. So a recording and also slides will be available. So that's great. Any other questions anyone else has? Because we're almost to 10. So, and if you don't have any questions right now, that's fine. Feel free to email us. We'll be happy to answer questions then as well.
Yeah, I think I'd leave everyone with one big tip to make sense of it all because I know it can seem so overwhelming. I always, my tip is to really, really focus on what decision you're trying to make and what question, not so much the individual questions, but what decision you're trying to make, and focus on that. Then reach out to the market research community and to your experts and or consultants and or research firms that are in your area and get their input on what the best way is to collect that information. You're going to save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, and aggravation. And the only thing they need to know is what decision you're trying to make. So that's my big tip to leave you with.
Okay, great. Yeah, and then anytime you're thinking about bringing in some additional tools and to increase your repertoire, I know it's very hard and sometimes it takes a long time to figure out, oh, what do I want this survey tool or do I want this or do I want that? I mean, it's a long process. I mean, I've sat through instances where it took almost 3 months to figure out how to switch an old database to a new database, just to set up things to pull sample from, and it's not easy stuff. So but rest assured there are experts that can help you decide what do you need to become more efficient at your company. What are the things you need to cut costs on in order to still retain customers and keep them happy, and what can you do to provide real-time data for your clients. So that's kind of some of the things that you might want to think about as well. So it looks like we don't have any other questions, so I'm going to go ahead and conclude our presentation today. So again, I would like to thank everybody for being a part of our presentation. I think, again, there's a lot of information, but we are, very happy to be able to share this with everyone. And if anything, we hope that, we've allowed you an opportunity to kind of think about, what are these trends? What can I do about them in the future? And I just want, Ivana, if you have anything else you want to add or if you want to go ahead and conclude.
Not a thing. Thank you, Esther, and thanks everyone for being here. And just like Esther says, please feel free to ask any questions, and we'll get you answers as soon as possible.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.